尊敬的各位领导、女士们、先生们、亲爱的朋友们
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen.
大家
上午好。
昨天是 Canada Day 加拿大国庆日，也是排华法案100周年纪念日。
铭记历史，不忘来时，我们的路才能越走越坚实。
回望过往，再看今朝，我们的心也就澎湃激昂。
以史为鉴，面向未来，我们才能对这片土地愈加爱的深沉。
As we all know, it was Canada Day yesterday, as well as the 100th anniversary of the Chinese Immigration Act. We should learn from our mistakes from the history, reflect and build a better future for Canada.
在欢闹的锣鼓声中，我们的盛会开始了。
感谢我们刚才岭南龙狮队的精彩表演，真是龙狮精神，振奋人心。
欢迎您来到列治文 King George Park 的2023草坪音乐节，和我们共享今天的盛会。我是雪原传媒的主持人 Ashley。
我是大家的新朋友 Bob 吴启泰。
Welcome to the 2023 concert in the park. Today, we gather under the sun to celebrate the power of music. I am Janie from Snow Goose Media, and I will be your host today.
我是主持人 Marco。
本次音乐节主办方是反对仇恨亚裔犯罪关注组、加拿大华裔投票促进会、加拿大国际精英俱乐部以及北美艺术家协会。
承办方是 V Rich Club 和当代文化传承者联盟。
每一届草坪音乐节都有独特的亮点和主题。本届的主题是平等与融合，反思纪念排华法案100年平面设计大赛及颁奖。
我们希望通过大赛的作品展览和多元文化的演出，更好地推广平等与融合的理念。
This event is organized by the Stop Anti-Asian Hate Crime Advocacy Group, Chinese Canadian Go-To-Vote Association, International Elite Club of Canada, and the North American Artists Association, with co-organizers V Rich Club and the Contemporary Heritopia Foundation. The highlight of this year's concert in the park is equality and inclusiveness in memory of those affected by the Chinese Immigration Act, anti-discrimination design competition, and the award ceremony.
好，请全体起立，我们合唱国歌，有请高大宝。
Now, please stand up, and Mr. Dabao Gao will lead the national anthem, O Canada.
高大宝是加拿大首届好声音的获奖者，让我们热烈欢迎高大宝先生领唱。
Oh, Canada, all home and native land, true patient love in all the sun's command. With glowing heart, we see the right, the true, north, strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Lord, people land, glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for
高大宝的精彩领唱。首先有请主办方和承办方代表上台发言。上台的主办方理事为 Brian Zhang、Frank Peng、Jason Wen、Emily Cao、Leo Peng、李惠民、Catherine Zhang、Bill 卓、白薇、王丽博士及承办方代表 Kathy 曹和 Nancy Fu。 We'd like to welcome the organizers and the co-organizers to come up the stage. From the organizers, Ryan Zhang, Frank Payne, Jason Ming, Emily Tao, Leo Payne, Morning Lee, Catherine Zhang, Bill Zhou, Ivan Pak, and Dr. Ellie Wang, and the co-organizers, Kathy Tao and Nancy Fu.
好，谢谢各位。下面，请主办方联合发起人百威和王丽博士致开幕词。
Let's welcome Mr. Ivan Pak and Dr. Ali Wang for a few words.
好，谢谢大家，欢迎大家来到2023的草坪音乐节。
Welcome everybody. Welcome to the second year of our concert in the park.
我们今天呢一早就过来忙碌了，但是看到大家热切的面孔，我们觉得所有的忙碌都非常支持，非常值得。再次感谢所有的组织人员、义工，还有我们的承办方。
We have been here very early in the morning today to set it up. So big thanks to all those people, volunteers who are here to help us today. And everybody welcome.
那像刚才主持人介绍的呢，每一年我们的草坪音乐节呢都会有一个主题。去年呢，我们是为去推动试选，今年呢正好是排华法案100周年纪念和反思活动，所以今年呢我们举办了一个关于反歧视的纪念排华法案的一个主题的平面摄影平面设计大赛。展品呢在旁边的帐篷里，大家一会儿都可以去参观。
So this year we have a theme. And also in memory of the Chinese exclusion there for 100 years. And we have organized a contest for a design competition. There will be an award ceremony today. And we have the contest candidate and then over there, then you can take a look and the great designs. And thanks for all those participants.
那希望今天的活动结束之后呢，我们的这种平权意识呢，还能继续在大家的心中存在，并且延续下去。我们继续为了一个更美好的加拿大而努力。谢谢。
Yeah, so our main focus this year is to promote equality and inclusiveness in our community. And so we all understand for the 100 years, the Chinese Canadians has been the Act has been exclude us for 24 years and it was repealed in 1947. And we stand together here today to promote our right as a Chinese Canadian to be treated equally, and also our contribution to Canada as this nation should be remembered. Thank you.
好，谢谢大家。
谢谢，有请各位回座。那大家有没有发现，刚才其实我们漏了一个非常隆重的表演，就是我们岭南龙狮队的表演。接下来，让我们用热烈的掌声。好，那我们就让岭南龙狮队再稍微等一下。
棒！非常感谢大家哈，我们非常有默契。那么今天呢，我们还邀请到了许多的嘉宾。首先，请参议员胡元豹先生上台致辞。
Thank you. Today we are very honored to have many guests join us. Now we'd like to invite the Honorable Senator Ren Pao to the stage for a few words.
尊敬的贵宾、女士们、先生们、朋友们，大家上午好！非常荣幸出席今天的活动。首先要祝贺主办人，很多人很努力的把今天的活动安排得那么好。My friends, I'm so happy to be here at the second annual concert in the park. This year is special. For the reasons you've already heard from Dr. Wang, it's the 100th anniversary of the Chinese Exclusion Act. There are many, many events, not just here in Richmond, not just in Vancouver, Burnaby, throughout the Greater Vancouver area, across BC, across Canada. So many events, so many commemorations marking the 100th anniversary. including one that took place just 10 days ago in the Senate of Canada. Dr. Wang was there, Mr. Park was there, others as well may have attended. I was so proud to have 200 Canadians from coast to coast come to the Senate of Canada for a solemn remembrance of this terrible, terrible act. And not only were there 200 plus Canadians in the Senate chamber marking that occasion, but there were perhaps 5,000 or more Canadians listening and watching that event live through a live stream that we organized. There were people in Pier 21 Immigration Museum in Halifax. There were people at the Halifax Library. There were people in the Toronto Library. There were people at the University of Toronto. There were people at the Chinese Cultural Center of Toronto, the Chinese Cultural Center in Winnipeg, in Saskatchewan, in Alberta, in Calgary, and right here, of course, in British Columbia as well. And why were there so many people then, 10 days ago, and today, and in the weeks and months ahead? Why are so many people organizing events to mark this 100th anniversary? Because we cannot forget the 100th anniversary. Because it was a huge mistake that our country made and my institution, the Senate of Canada, made 100 years ago. And as we mark this sad centenary, we have to think about how we make sure it never happens again. My friends, I want to tell you this. 100 years ago, when the House of Commons and the Senate voted for this bill, they voted unanimously. There was little or no opposition. And the public supported it. My friends, we have to be vigilant to make sure that today's legislators at the municipal level, at the provincial level, at the federal level, never fall into that trap again. Even when a policy seems to be popular, when everybody says it's the right thing to do, we have to ask if it is a modern form of exclusion. And the best way to fight it, my friends, is what this group is doing here. It's encouraging all of you Canadians, Chinese Canadians, other Canadians, to take part in our democracy, to go to vote, to make sure your voice is heard, because if your voice is heard, you will not be taken for granted. But I want to say one more thing to you. The election is far away. Maybe, I don't know. But when the election comes, not only do you have to vote, but you have to tell everyone that you own your vote. Nobody is telling you how to vote. Nobody can say your vote is not legitimate. Nobody can say your vote is influenced by somebody else. You own your vote and you cast it the way you want to, because that is your right. And if anybody tells you that your vote is illegitimate, you tell them they are illegitimate. Because your vote counts, and unless you do that, your voice will not be heard. I want to again thank all of you for coming out. I'm looking forward to the results of the competition that was organized. I'm looking forward to the performances. I'm so grateful to Ali and to Ivan and others who've organized this event and other events to help us remember the 100th anniversary of the Chinese Exclusion Act, and above all, to encourage all of us, all Canadians, to take part more fully in Canada's democracy. 谢谢大家。
谢谢胡参的演讲。下面有请南苏里白石选区的国会议员 Carrie Finlay 女士致辞。Thank you, Honorable Senator Wu. Now let's welcome the Honorable Carrie Finlay from South Surrey, White Rock to the stage.
好，那我们的 Carrie Finlay 女士可能还在路上啊。那我们接下来就先有请 Burnaby Edmund 选区的省议员 Honorable Raj Chauhan 致辞，掌声有请。
Now let's welcome the Honorable Raj Chauhan from Burnaby Edmonds to the stage for a few words.
Ni hao.
你好，
I'm so honored to be here, and I want to say thank you to Dr. Wong and all the organizers, volunteers, performers for organizing this concert. As Honorable Senator just said, if we don't take a stand, nobody else will take that stand. So it's so important that we continue to make ourselves aware of what happened in the past. If we are aware of the past, then we will make the future brighter. I'm the Speaker of the Legislative Assembly of British Columbia, and I was elected in Burnaby in 2005. Since then, I have raised the voice against racism, for human rights in British Columbia. All my life I have dedicated to the promotion of human rights, because what we have seen in the past, Canada was not what we see today. In 1907, the big riot happened in Vancouver. People of color, especially the Chinese, Canadian, South Asians, were targeted. People were not allowed to do what other Canadians were allowed to do. That discrimination continued for a long time. We also know what's happening with the indigenous First Nation people. For hundreds of years, they were discriminated against, not even considered as human beings. And we know what happened in other parts of Canada. Our Canada, we celebrate, we say 156 years old, but it's not. Canada is thousands and thousands of years old. People have lived here for so long. But yes, Confederation happened 156 years ago. We are celebrating that. But we shall never forget what happened in the past to people of color, Chinese Canadians, South Asians, First Nations. The only way we can stop it if we continue to raise our voice. That's why British Columbia was the first government to implement DRIPA, to make sure that people are recognized. That's why, as a Speaker of the Legislative Assembly, I have started a project in British Columbia, first time in the history, to reach out to Indigenous people throughout the province, to make sure the colonial the culture that was being reflected in the legislative building, I want to make sure it is inclusive, it's welcoming for everybody. That can only happen if we all stand up against racism, discrimination, and I'm really thankful for the organizers, Dr. Wong, and everybody for organizing this. Let's continue raise our voice. That's the only way we will make Canada prosperous and beautiful and inclusive. Thank you so much.
Thank you， 谢谢。是谁来读的？好，谢谢。下面有请场地东道主列治文市市长马保定先生和他的市议员何思安先生、麦勒斯先生以及卢先勇女士上台致辞。
Thank you, Honorable Chalka. Now let's welcome Mr. Malcolm Brody, Mayor of Richmond, and his councils, Mr. Andy Hobbs, Mr. Bill McNulty, and Ms. Alexa Liu to the stage.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. What a wonderful day it is. July the 2nd. It's a beautiful day in a beautiful part of Richmond. With me today are some of our city councilors. We have Alexa Liu. Let's hear it for Alexa. Councillor Andy Hobbs. And Bill McNulty. Yesterday was July 1st. We celebrated Canada Day, and it got me thinking as to what's Canada, what are the significant values that we hold closely? And surely diversity and inclusion are very central to what we believe in as Canadians. Unfortunately, we've been through a pandemic, and with the pandemic, there was an increase in the number of racial incidents, particularly anti-Chinese racial incidents. That is not part of Richmond. That is not part of British Columbia. That is not part of Canada, and we have to stand up and say that every time out. Do you agree? Yeah. So I want to thank the organizers, Ellie Wang, Ivan Pack, and all the other organizers for today's event. I want to thank the sponsors, the volunteers who have worked so hard to put together this wonderful set of concerts. I know we're going to be enjoying the afternoon, so on behalf of the City of Richmond, enjoy the day. Thank you very much.
非常感谢列治文市政府官员的热情讲话。接下来，请温哥华市议员周南先生上台致辞。
Thank you, and let's welcome Mr. Lenny Do, Councillor of Vancouver, to the stage.
Thanks, everyone. I want to first acknowledge we are gathering today on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of Coast Salish Nation. Thanks, everyone. So it's really my great honor to be here, second years in a row. So with amazing music. And also for a good cause, which is anti-racism, anti-discrimination. 100 years ago, Chinese Canadians, they are not even allowed to enter this country. 100 years later, just yesterday, in Canada, in Vancouver, we opened the first Chinese Canadian museum. That is the first in the history of Canada. Also, 100 years ago, City of Vancouver, through our democracy system, we elect the first mayor with Chinese heritage, which is Ken Sim. Also, 100 years ago, City of Vancouver will open the first civic office in our historic Chinatown. And it will name after a historian and pioneer Chinese Canadian, who is Wang Alexander Kong Yao. So I think we are making history here. So it's really good to see everyone here, and we need to fight together. As a City of Vancouver City Councillor, I'm committed to working with everyone together to build a city that is more inclusive, free of all forms of discrimination for everyone. Next, I'm gonna talk something in Chinese because I want to send some key message to my fellow Chinese Canadian community. 我们经常说这个反歧视、反亚裔歧视、反华歧视，但是大家知道不知道这个歧视的定义是什么？今天在座的每个人能不能把这个歧视的定义，到底什么是歧视？到底什么行为是歧视？说清楚。如果我们连这个歧视的定义都说不清楚，我们怎么能够反歧视呢？其实，在这个问题上，我们的犹太社区有值得我们非常多学习的地方，又走到了我们的前面。有一个国际的组织叫 International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance 国际大屠杀联盟，他们就制定出来了反犹太歧视的定义。他们在这个定义里就定义出了到底什么样的行为是属于对犹太人的歧视，而且这个定义已经在全世界40多个国家，包括温哥华市政府已经采用了这个定义，所以我们可以用这个定义来教育我们的下一代，让这种歧视的行为不再发生。而这个2行字的这个定义，犹太裔社区做了10几年的时间，别看只有2行字，他们做了大量的这个 research， 大量的这个 interview， 所以我希望今天在场的这个有识之士，这些个有影响力的社团，在这些事情上多做些努力。我们有了这个定义，就可以保证我们以后未来这种有歧视的行为，在我们的下一代永远不会发生。这才是真正的功在当代，利在千秋的事情。所以我非常高兴，如果有人对这个事情感兴趣的话，我非常愿意和大家一起协作，把这个事情做成。谢谢大家。
非常感谢周南先生振聋发聩的一个演讲。接下来，让我们掌声欢迎省议员周锦华先生上台致辞。
Thank you, and now let's welcome MLA George Chow to the stage.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm George Chow. I'm the MLA from Vancouver, Fraserville. Mayor Brody, my riding just across the river. So I'm very happy to be invited here, along with the honorable speaker, Raj Chauhan. And I don't want to keep you too long because you have an important program. And I wholeheartedly agree with what Senator Wu has to say. And thank you for all your work in the Senate. And my good friend, John Price as well, thank you for what you have done in terms of the book that you have written. And of course, Raj Chauhan, my colleague, I met him in the 1978 when he was fighting for the farmers' workers' right. And that's when he was into this human rights and, standing up for the working people and the people. And I also want to echo what Councillor Zhou said. We have the same last name in Chinese, but not in English. So we hail from the same ancestry 4,000 years ago in China. So we were very happy to open the Chinese Canadian Museum, and Mr. Tang Chen is one of the board members. There may be other board members here. So the Chinese Canadian Museum is a product of the province, and we are very proud to have been able to do that. We funded the museum. Our BC-NDP government funded the museum to the tune of $50 million to kick it off. Of course, there will still be more funding required, and the federal government is coming up with some funding as well. So this is a vehicle to tell our story of the Chinese who came here. The first Chinese stepped onto the soil in 1788 on the west coast of Vancouver Island. So we have been here 235 years. Aside from the European and the indigenous people, we are the largest group who landed on this beautiful land. So it's a vehicle for reconciliation. I think we had a lot of kinship with the indigenous people. We got to renew that, particularly where the museum is situated in historical Vancouver Chinatown. Right now, the downtown east side is 30% indigenous people. It's not the same Chinatown as before, but we want to work together to build a better community in harmony and a better country. So thank you very much. I hope you support the museum. Go down and have a look. Thank you.
非常感谢。接下来，请本拿比市议员王白敬先生上台致辞。
Thank you, and let's welcome Mr. James Wang, Councillor of Burnaby, to the stage.
Thank you, everyone. As Councillor Wang from City of Burnaby, very happy to be here today, and it's a very exciting to see so many people right here. And yes, it is Canada Day. We're celebrating the 156th the birthday of Canada. Meanwhile, that also the 100th anniversary of the Chinese Exclusion Act. And I know today's the event. The theme is in memory of that event. And in Burnaby, this year, we approved the process to review, acknowledged, and apologized for its historic discrimination against Chinese descent, and with the goal of advancing the reconciliations with Chinese Canadian community. 大家好，我是本拿比市议员王白敬。今天呢，非常高兴能参加我们的活动。那昨天呢，是我们加拿大的156周年的这个生日，那也是这个排华法的100周年的这样的一个纪念的日。那本拿比市呢，在今年呢，也通过了这样的一个法案呢，就是要采取一个跟华裔社区和解的这样的一个目的。这个目的的最终达到目标呢，是找出我们在历史上对于华人的这样一些歧视的这样一些政策，来寻求与华人社区的和解。The same time, in the yesterday, we have a celebrations event in our historic Burnaby Village Museum. We support local artists. They built the wall that is art installations made of by those ice bricks. That reflects that the history, also the looking forward to the bright future. 那我们昨天呢，在我们的加拿大日的这样的一个活动里面呢，我们市政府呢支持我们本地的艺术家，在我们本拿比的乡村博物馆，在那一段历史的这个铁道的旁边呢，建立了一个艺术的一个展品，它是用我们无数块的这个冰块做成的一个墙。 那它呢展现出这样的一种历史，这样的一种历史的一种艰难，同时呢，它最终会融化，那也展示了我们华人的这样的一种包容。我们不能忘记历史，我们要共筑未来。I think that is very, very important. That arts also play a very important role. And just like today, we through the concert, the music, we just reflects that initiatives. 那今天呢，我觉得我们的这个艺术节呢，也展现了这样的一个目的，也让我们呢来对这样的历史呢，我们不能忘怀，我们呢一起来共筑这样的一种未来。And beyond this, and also with Burnaby, we have two very significant events. That is Symphony in the Park and Opera in the Park. And I sincerely invite the organizers to have the concert in the park next year in Burnaby. So me and our counselor, Rod Chuhan, we will support this one. So thank you to have a wonderful event today. Thank you.
好 ，Thank you for concert。下面有请前温哥华市议员陈之栋先生上台致辞。
Thank you, and let's welcome Mr. Tom Chen, former councillor of Vancouver, to the stage.
大家好，很高兴今天有机会跟大家在这里讲话，大家下午好，各位主办单位，各位嘉宾，我很久没有上台演講啦，所以呢可能講得不好。大家好，今日好開心喺度同大家可以講幾句説話。Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Wang and Ivan. I have not been speaking in public for a long time, but I am really motivated to want to share some thoughts with you. We have been talking about this Chinese Exclusion Act 100th anniversary. But one thing that we should all also know is that the immigration regulation did not really change until 1967. 20 years after the elimination and appeal of the Immigration Act, that Chinese people from around the world can obtain the same treatment to come to this country we now all call proudly our home. So it took 20 years. So remember, even the Exclusion Act is eliminated, the attitude of Canadian people, our politicians at the time, I still remember when I came here, in 1974, there were senators, there were members of parliament in parliament stating that the Chinese will never be a part of this country. They came by the boatload back then, and they say in 1974, in our parliament, they said they came by the plane load. They came here, they stuck together in the basement, they stuck together in the ghettos. They will never, ever become a part of Canada. That's, ladies and gentlemen, is our history. But do we always have to just look back? I say not. Let's look also forward. But when we look forward, what's also important, Senator Wu was so eloquent in suggesting that when voting day, that we all come out to vote and we participate. We need to do more than that. We have to do that. That's the minimum. But more importantly is to participate in civic societies, your community centers, your political parties. Get mobilized, get involved, and not just only in election time. Be a part of the political party. Be a part of your neighborhood party. And also go in and make sure that our media report the positive contributions of Chinese Canadians. That we have people in the medical field. You look at any of the major hospitals in the Lower Mainland, you'll find many of the specialists, many of the doctors are of Chinese Canadian heritage. Do you get recognition of that? You look at the number of Order of Canada that was just appointed. How many Chinese Canadians were on that list? You look at the Order of BC. How many Chinese Canadians were there? You look at the Order of Chinese Canadians were there? You look at academics. There's so many professors, researchers that have done so much good work for this country, for this community. Are they being recognized? So when we move forward, it not only have to participate politically, we have to make sure that our contribution is covered by the media, that our good stories are being told. Not just the best stories of driving house prices, not the best story of money laundering, but that our money that come in, the money that came in from Chinese Canadian coming to this country, that help build this community, that help develop the lands that we have, that help educate our people. And that is what we should remember. That's the work that we should all do, and we should continue to fight for it. So thank you, organizers, and thank you for giving me a chance to speak. Thank you.
谢谢。下面请维多利亚荣休教授、聚焦中家负责人 John Price 先生致辞。
Thank you. And now we would like to welcome Mr. John Price, Professor Emeritus in History with the University of Victoria, advisor of the China-Canada Focus, to the stage.
My name is John. I'm from the University of Victoria, and I want to first of all recognize that we are gathered on the traditional and unceded territories of the Musqueam and Tsawwassen peoples. This is important because for myself, I know that my grandparents were able to come to this province over 100 years ago in 1907, and they were able to take land in Langley from the Kwantlen people. As somebody, as a settler on these territories, as I've learned the history of my own family, I've learned to recognize that the privileges of my family, a European family, have meant many advantages. My grandparents did not pay the head tax. They did not face exclusion. In fact, when the Chinese Exclusion Act was in place, my grandparents, my grandmother brought over her whole family in the 1920s and 1930s to Canada. They were encouraged to come. That's the history of my European heritage. Recognizing that we took the land from Kwantlen peoples is the responsibility of all settler groups. I say this because if we look at the history of the Chinese Exclusion Act, many groups from the community in Victoria, in Vancouver, in Toronto, fought against the Chinese Exclusion Act. They didn't win. Even though they had meetings in Toronto of thousands of people, they weren't able to stop the Exclusion Act from coming in. Why is that? Because they didn't have the allies from other groups. They didn't have the labor movement, other social movements working with them. They were isolated. There's a lesson there for today. Attacks against the Chinese Canadian community are continuing. Even after COVID, they continue. The attacks on Chinatown. The fact is that racism affects not only Chinese Canadians, it affects many historical groups, including Asian Canadians, including Black Canadians, including Indigenous peoples. These peoples have to come together in order to stop racism today. We see today many things happening. Discrimination and attempts to roll back the many gains that have been made are happening today. We saw recently at the University of Waterloo the knifing of young people and a professor because they were teaching different ideas about gender than the mainstream ideas. Those attacks against those communities are similar to the racist attacks that took place against Chinese Canadians. So I hope that we are able to learn the lessons and move forward united to build the relationships amongst the various groups. As a white ally, I commit myself to continuing to work with everybody to build the unity necessary to defeat racism. 谢谢你们。
谢谢，请欢迎皇家联邦宾夕省第一路协会以及皇家圣乔治社团主席 Sean Wade 上台致辞。
Thank you. And now we would like to welcome Mr. Sean Wade, President of the Royal Commonwealth Society, President of the Royal Society of St. George and Global Citizen to the stage.
Dr. Wong, distinguished guests, artists, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's a great honor to speak to you today and to wish you a happy Canada weekend. Thou shalt have dominion over the lands and the seas, the verse which inspired the name of Canada, a dominion, and that first commemoration of 1868, hasn't always held out the same hope and fate for us all. As we look back into history, not everyone has equally benefited from Canada, nor were they treated the same. Some were not fully included or felt fully included in all areas of our national life. Our task over the past few decades has been to try to include everyone. We are not there yet, and sometimes it seems we are going backwards. But we must carry on and move forward. This is why coming together to share art, culture, and music is so important. Music is an international language, one which transcends language, ideology, and borders. Graphic and visual arts uplift the soul, engage the mind, and stimulate the senses. Performance can uplift us from our seats, be it dramatic, musical comedy, classical theater, or that of an experimental nature. As artists, you have a special responsibility to help us to understand the world better. You have the freedom to express what is in your heart and souls. As artists, you also speak for us all, or for many of us. Artists are not always popular with governments or with the established orders, as sometimes they contradict or oppose them. Prokofiev wrote some of his best works under the threat of Stalinist repression. Plays were written in the good old days to satisfy government censors. And Lady Chatterley's Lover was a banned book for a very long time. You, as artists, have a great talent, a great responsibility, and a great opportunity to be our voices. I look forward to seeing more of your work and recognizing your achievements. Thank you, and please enjoy the rest of your day.
谢谢。此外，本次活动还收到了来自省议员冯一干、黎耀华、屈杰斌的贺词和祝贺视频，请他们的代表 William Tu 来给我们颁发贺信。
Thank you. We have also received greetings from MLA Kevin Falcon, MLA Michael Lee, and MLA Teresa Watt. Now we would like to welcome their representative, William Tu, to the stage for the letter.
Good morning, everyone, and other dignitaries. I'm very pleased to join everyone today at this wonderful summer concert in the Park 2023 on behalf of MLA Teresa Watt and BC United Shadow Minister for Multiculturalism, Anti-Racism Initiatives, Art and Culture. It is truly an honor to be here today in the company of such passionate individuals who are dedicated to stopping anti-Asian hate crimes. First, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to the Stop Anti-Asian Hate Crimes Advocacy Group for organizing this event. Your tireless efforts to raise awareness, promote understanding, and combat racism are truly commendable. It is through collective action and community engagement that we can make a real difference and create a society that is inclusive and safe for everyone. The Summer Concert in the Park 2023 provides us with a unique opportunity to come together, not only enjoy the music and festivities, but also to reaffirm our commitment to a society that embraces diversity and rejects discriminations. It is time for celebration, but also time for reflection. as we acknowledge the challenges that many members of the different communities have faced in recent times. Let's enjoy the concert and let the spirit of unity and togetherness guide us in our efforts to build a better future. Thank you. 大家下午好，很荣幸今天代表列治文北中选区省议员屈杰斌来参加今天的活动，并送上他的信息。然后非常感谢今天主办方 Stop Anti-Asian Hate Crime Advocacy Group 举办一个今天这样一个意义非凡的活动。MLA Teresa Watt 屈杰斌作为 BC 联合党反种族歧视策略多元文化及文化艺术的影子内阁厅长，很开心看到有一个这样大型的活动在我们 Richmond 举行，有着重要的意义，同时宣传了反种族歧视的理念。那希望大家在这里度过愉快的一天。同时我送上省议员屈杰斌的贺信，以及我们 BC 联合党官方反对党党领 Kevin Falcon 的贺信给我们的主办方王丽博士和 Ivan。Okay, I'm also bringing messages on behalf of BC United for BC Official Opposition Leader Kevin Falcon, and to present the letter to our organizing committee, Dr. Wen and Ivan. Thank you.
Thank 感谢屈杰斌的祝贺和鼓励。下面请大家观看李耀华省议员的贺词视频。
We would like to thank our honored guests again for all the support. Please watch a short video from MLA Michael Lee.
Hello, I'm Michael Lee, the MLA for Vancouver-Langara and the Shadow Minister for Indigenous Relations and Reconciliation. It is my honor to extend my warmest greetings to everyone attending the second summer concert in the park, organized by the Stop Anti-Asian Hate Crimes Advocacy Group. I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to the organizers for your tremendous efforts in putting together this event to raise awareness about anti-Asian racism. Over the years, I've participated in some of your other events, including the website launch, seminars, and serving as a judge, more recently for the Equality and Inclusion Anti-Discrimination Graphic Design Competition. This year marks the 100th anniversary of the Chinese Exclusion Act and provides us with an important opportunity to reflect on where we've come as Canadians of Chinese descent in this country. I recently had the opportunity to join with other community leaders in Ottawa for a special commemoration in the Senate chamber, and also to participate in moderating a panel about how Canadians of Chinese descent are ending up in unexpected places. I know the importance of how we build forward a community to come forward to work together, and I commend the Stop Anti-Asian Hate Crimes Advocacy Group for your leadership in organizing various gatherings to recognize the importance of how we need to work together more in harmony and tolerance for each other and respect. I know as a son of immigrant parents coming from Hong Kong in the 50s and 60s, having had a history of working on head tax redress myself in the mid-1980s, that we have our roles to play. I also had the opportunity back then of being the Vancouver delegate to the Chinese Canadian National Council and working towards redress of the head tax imposed by the government. It is crucial that we continue to stand together against overt and systemic forms of discrimination in our society. And we have many allies in many other communities and with Indigenous communities as well to ensure that we build a stronger country, one that can work better for the future of all Canadians. Thank you. Hello.
感谢所有嘉宾的致辞。从今年3月份开始，反对仇恨亚裔犯罪关注组主办了平等与融合反思纪念排华法案100周年平面设计大赛。 经过初审和终审2轮评选，甄选出金奖1名、银奖3名、铜奖5名、优异奖10名，在舞台的右边。那我们设立了2个帐篷，用来展览所有的参选作品，包括成人组和少儿组。接下来，请各位嘉宾、大赛评委及理事们上台，为反歧视平面设计大赛获奖者颁奖。
Next, we would like to invite our guests, jury panel, and the councils to the stage for the award ceremony. The Honorable Senator Ren Pao-wu, event organizer Mr. Ivan Pak, Honorable Carrie Lynn Finley from South Surrey White Rock, jury Ms. Choi Hong, founder and publisher of the Rise Media Group. Honorable Rush Shaohan from Burnaby Edmonds, jury Zai Xin-shen, president of Da Ha Tang, MLA George Chow, event organizer Brian Zhang, Richmond City Council Andy Hobbs, jury Vals Liu, member of Canadian Artists Association, senior art instructor and graphic designer, Richmond City Council Alexa Liu, jury Raymond Pu, graphic designer, Richmond City Council Bill McNulty, event organizer Jason Wayne, event organizer Morning Lee and Frank Payne. Burnaby City Council James Wong, event organizer Bill Zhou, former Vancouver City Council Tom Chen, event co-organizer Kathy Tao, advisor of China Canada Focus Mr. John Price, event co-organizer Nancy Fu, Sean Wade, president of the Royal Commonwealth Society, president of the Royal Society of St. George and Global Citizen, media representative Jessica Liu, event organizer Catherine Zhang and Leo Payne.
好，那由于我们这一次的选手呢是遍布全国，所以今天不能都亲临现场来领奖。那今天到场的主要的选手都是居住在 BC 的一些选手。下面请获奖者代表或者是带领证书的亲友依次上台，他们分别是金奖获得者 Sonia Abraham，
银奖获得者 Northaning Lin。and Jerry Lin，
铜奖获得者 Fiona 陈、Leo Liu、Lee Nana、Anya Liu，
优异奖获得者 Yolanda Peng、伊林样、艾玛户、文若素、Evan Wang、Corinne Berryman、Austin Liu、Selina Jia。
本次平面设计大赛分为初审和终审。初审评委是大华堂董事长沈展新先生 ，Senior Art Instructor Vals Liu、Graphic Designer Raymond Pu、高度传媒出版人随红女士、Project and Info Officer of Access Pro Bono Society of BC Jimmy Yan、City Councilor of Richmond Alexa Liu。终审评委为艺术家、策展人郑胜天教授、前温哥华市议员陈志栋先生、参议员胡元豹先生、省议员李耀华先生、列治文市长马保定先生和本拿比市长侯迈豪先生。负责行政协调的由主办方理事孙华超先生和长期志愿者陈雨佳女士。感谢他们，请以热烈的掌声感谢他们对平权推广的贡献。
The winners are chosen with 2 rounds of evaluations.
首《望月》送给在座所有的朋友，希望你们能够喜欢。
望着月亮的时候，常常想起你；望着你的时候，就想起月亮。世界上最美的是月亮，比月亮更美的是你。没有你的日子里，我常常望着月亮，那融融的月色就像你的脸庞。月亮抚慰着我的心，我的泪水浸湿了月光。月亮在天上，我在地上，就像你在海角，我在天涯。月亮升得再高，也高不过天涯。你走得多么远，也走不出我的思念。月亮在天上，我在地上，就像你在海角，我在天涯。月亮升得再高，也高不过天涯。你走得多么远，也走不出我的思望着月亮的时候，常常想起你；望着你的时候，就想起月亮。世界上最美的是月亮，比月亮更美的是你，比月亮更美的是你，更美的是你，更美的是
谢谢大家的掌声。下面一首欢快的歌曲《马伊拉变奏曲》送给大家。
人们都叫我马伊拉，诗人马伊拉，人知麦上银行歌手马伊拉。 绣满了玫瑰花，等待我的情人檀香东不来。年轻的哈萨克来到我的家，谁的歌声来和我比一下？谁的歌声来和我比一下？我是带上你的歌手来了，我心是唱上这首歌，很激动啊！来往人们挤在我的屋檐底下，啦一啦啦一啦，啦啦啦个啦一啦啦一啦，啦啦个啦一啦一啦，啦啦啦。
谢谢 ，Thank you。
好，非常感谢周洁如的精彩表演。接下来，让我们再次欢迎中国好声音冠军获得者高大宝先生上台，他将演唱《早安龙回》，由艾丽莎艺术协会的成员们为他们伴舞。
Next, Mr. Daboga will take over the stage with his dancers from the Eliza Arts Association.
节目有一点点的调整，下一首是《早安轮回》，对不对？大家好，先唱一首抒情的，把悲伤留给自己。能不能让我陪着你走？既然你说留不住你，回去的路有些黑暗，担心让你一个人走。我想是因为我不够温柔，不能分担你的忧愁。如果这样说不出口，就把遗憾留在心中，把我的悲伤留给自己，你的美丽让你带走。从此以后我再没有快乐起来的理由，把我的悲伤留给自己，你的美丽让你带走。我想我可以忍住悲伤，可不可以你也会想起我？可以牵你的手呢， 从来没有这样要求，怕你难过，转身就走。那就这样吧，我会了解。把我的悲伤留给自己，你的美丽让你带走。从此以后，我再没有快乐起来的理由。我想我可以忍住悲伤，假装生命中没有你。从此以后，我在这里日夜等待你的消息。能不能让我陪着你走？既然你说留不住你，无论你在天涯海角，是不是你偶尔会想起我？可不可以你也会想起我？可不可以？可不可以？可不可以？哦，嘿嘿嘿，可以吗？可不可以？好，唱完了这首抒情的，下面来一首激情的歌曲《早安龙回》。让我在深情地望着你，早安，我的 baby。你伴我迎接灿烂的曙光，迎接崭新的黎明。是你给我无穷的力量，勇敢地向前行。我要对你说声谢谢你，早安，我的轮回。让我在深情地望着你，晚安，我的 baby。你陪我进入甜蜜的梦乡，放飞美丽的心情。是你给我贴心的温暖，聆听着你的呼吸。我要对你说声谢谢你，晚安，我的轮回。你是那夜空中最美的星星，照亮我一路前行。你是我生命中最美的相遇，你若安好便是晴天。你是那夜空中最美的星星，陪伴我一路前行。你是我生命中最美的相遇，早安，我的轮回。 星星，照亮我一路前行，是我生命中最美的相遇。一朵暗号便是晴天，是我夜空中最美的星星，陪伴我一路前行，是我生命中最美的相遇。早晚我的轮回，早晚我的温和话，早晚我的贝贝。谢谢。
nhân gian xem hội trăng tròn 16 thật to, người ta đi đứng thật đông. Đêm nay là hội trăng tròn, em đi xem hội trăng tròn, áo quần hai gấm hoành bao, nhìn lên trên trời ông trăng soi bên bóng em nằm nghiêng. Ông trăng nằm nghiêng, ông trăng nằm 要摘一片红叶，我给你整个风铃和云彩。如果你要一个微笑，我敞开我热的胸怀。如果你需要有人同行，我陪你走到未来。春暖花开，这是我的世界。每次怒放，都是心中喷发的爱，风儿吹来，是我和天空的对白，温柔的声音，像春花最闪亮的期待。春暖花开，这是我的世界。生命如水，有时平静，有时澎湃，穿越阴霾。阳光洒满你窗台，即使幸福一直与我们同在。如果你要一个微笑，我敞开火热的胸怀。如果你需要有人同行，我陪你走到未来。春暖花开，这是我的世界。每次怒放，都是心中喷发的爱，风儿吹来，是我和天空的对白，微弱的声音，像春花最闪亮的期待。春暖花开，这是我的世界。生命如水，有时平静，有时澎湃，穿越阴霾。阳光洒满你窗台，即使幸福一直与我们同在。春暖花开，这是我的世界。生命如水，有时平静，也有时澎湃，穿越阴霾。阳光洒满你窗台，即使幸福一直与我们同在。我的世界。